All right, what's going on, guys? Kyle Johns. Got a little Friday session going on here. I am with Josh. Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Loud and clear. We are going to today break down the wholesale script and go over, let me get this off my screen. Go over basically talking how we talk with motivated sellers and how we make what we do now in our business. When we're talking about scripts, we have tweaked and changed them many times, and they're always changing, actually. We're always adding and optimizing the script to try to get the best results from the motivated sellers. At this point in our business, we like to use what I call a two-step process. Basically almost like a prospecting type deal where for wholesales, take a step back. Whenever we pull our leads, depending on where the leads have come from, whether it's off of one of our websites or direct mail, then we know generally how we may be able to proceed with that lead based off the information that we've already gathered. If it's direct mail, of course, it's just a call. We have no information other than the address. If it is off of one of our websites, it may include some information, allowing us to understand better what the seller is looking for. Sometimes it's just name, email, address, and asking price and phone number. So it's different for every lead. We also do a lot of scraping of numbers with the VAs, and they categorize the leads into two different lists. One of them is motivated sellers, so we would be targeting, of course, wholesale type deals, and the other one is the for rent ads. And then with those, of course, we would be typically going for a lease purchase, lease option, owner finance, something down that road, if you will. Now, so like back to what I was saying about the two-step process, when we do this, we have found that it works better to basically have an initial call with the seller, gather some information, and this is on both ends for wholesale and lease option. Gather some information, get an email, send them your contact information. Because the reason we do this is once you get that email and you're able to keep in contact with them, once you figure out, okay, this could be a deal, and maybe you have a deal and you move forward with the seller. But if you don't, then you still have their email and you throw them in your autoresponders or your follow-up system, whatever you use. We will go over that later in another webinar, but we throw them in our autoresponders, and we're able to keep in touch with them over the next year, automatically, of course. So, when you gather that, and it also allows you to gather information on the property instead of just trying to make a blind offer. We really do concentrate on trying to be as virtual as possible. So whenever we gather this information, we're able to then send the seller our contact information and also take a day or two to run comps. Either maybe send a bird dog out to the property, take a look at it. If it's in our, close to us, we'll go take a look at it. It really depends, how you would like to run your business. At one point, we were going for the lease option pitch all in one phone call. And you can do that as well, and you can kind of explain what the lease option is, stuff like that. And guys, whenever you're doing this, it's really different for each lead. Sometimes you are driven right into the explanation of a lease option because of the way the seller is responding or interacting with your phone call. Sometimes you are just able to gather information, maybe give them a brief explanation of what you do, and get there. You can go ahead and set them up for a follow-up call. Today we're going to be breaking down the wholesale script, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on these options. That'll be another webinar. We're going to kind of go over why we have it set up this way, and how we use it side by side with putting the information in Podio. Um, so yeah, again, trying to be as virtual as possible. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Um, some deal updates as far as where we're standing right now for the weekend. We are closing out a deal. This is actually pretty cool. I was talking to Devin right before I hopped on here. That's why I am late. We are closing out a deal this weekend. Very, very cool. It was a referral from another seller. I was actually out of town when this lead was referred over. They wanted to do a lease option with their property. We went ahead, got the contract signed. He sent over the pictures, and this is a week and a half later, and we already have a tenant buyer. We are closing the deal tomorrow. And what's really cool about this deal is I have never met the seller. I've never met the buyer. I've never seen the property. And my documents will be 100% virtual. And, it's really up to them. I would be able to go out to the property if I wanted to. We could go out and meet the seller and the buyer, or we could send the documents over virtually and keep it 100% virtual. So this deal, it's going to be a pretty solid deal. I'll keep you updated on next week. We should, if everything goes smooth, like I said, we will be closing it out tomorrow, and yeah, pretty awesome. Never even seen the property, seller, buyer, nothing. So that's the way we like to do it, keep it 100% virtual, and just to show you that you can do this in markets, anywhere. You don't have to you don't have to strictly be in your market. If you set up your business correctly, with people that can help you out, boots on the ground, you can definitely, take that step into virtual wholesaling or virtual wholesaling lease options or whatever business model that you enjoy doing. So back to the script. We're going to go ahead and break it down. Like I said, I have Josh on the line. It's going to be like some one-on-one interaction with going through it with him. He is about to start making calls in the Baton Rouge and New Orleans market. The only way to get started in your business, if you're if you're at that fork in the road where you don't know what to do, you don't know how to start, the only way to start, guys, is strictly just doing it. Just get out there and do it. Just start making some phone calls. Let other stuff fall into place. If you don't have Podio, or you don't want to use Podio, or you're not computer savvy, write it down on a notepad. Type up a lead sheet, get the sellers on the phone, and just start making phone calls. Get it out there, because there's no way that you'll ever get a deal, you'll ever move anything forward, unless you are getting sellers on the phone and positioning yourself to be able to get some deals on the table. All right, so you ready to roll, Josh?
I'm ready. There you go.
Ready to go. Friday. Oh man.
Friday.
About to drop a whole bunch of bandit signs tonight. Kind of excited. Oh yeah. All right. Let me see. All right. So, can you see my screen, Josh? Can you see both sides here of the script? Okay, cool. All right. So, to start it off, when we make a call, and I'm sure if you have listened to any of our sessions, you hear how we talk to sellers. Guys, just because you have a script does not mean you have to read word for word to the sellers. No one likes to hear a robot. Ever.
Doesn't sound convincing.
What?
Said doesn't sound convincing. If you can just reading off of a script, then it's just a little, obviously, uninviting.
Absolutely. And then also, guys, Josh and I were talking about this the other day. Whenever you're on the phone with these sellers, have the mindset that you're a buyer. You're calling them to gather information about their property. There is nothing, you are in control of this conversation. You're the one who is approaching them as a buyer. And so there's no wrong questions to ask a seller. You know,
Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking, there should be no pressure for, us making calls just because of that sole reason. We are the buyer. We basically hold power of the conversation.
absolutely, 100%. And I mean, especially on the first initial phone call. If you're using the two-step process, that initial phone call, you are showing interest in something that they are looking to liquidate or sell. So you are just when you approach them in that sense, you may be worried about asking all these questions, and they may ask you, why are you asking me all these questions? Well, because I'm considering purchasing your property.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know. I want to know everything that I can possibly find out to try to analyze this and see if it's a deal that we want to move forward on. And so when you have that mindset and you approach these initial conversations, you shouldn't even be nervous to talk to a seller. A lot of people may not like talking on the phone. When it comes to closing the deal, making an offer, yeah, it's a little bit of a more high tension type situation, or maybe you're pitching a lease option or a lease purchase. Yeah, then you're actually pitching something to a seller, and it's a little bit more, I guess, engaged as far as like you having to kind of put yourself out there. But for this initial conversation, I like to keep it very simple. Just gather information. You want to talk to the sellers just like just like you were calling if you were not an investor, or you're not doing real estate for a living. If you were just calling to purchase a property that you have interest in, when you're doing that, or when you're purchasing a car, you're going to ask questions. You want to know. You have to know what you're looking at before you are interested, 100%. And you'll also notice that when we are making these calls, a lot of them are cold calls off numbers with information that we don't have anything on the property. So we'll kind of break down how we run through this, and hopefully it'll be some good content for you guys, and you can use it in your own business. If you want this script, or you want, some of this information, definitely just shoot me an email in the link below. Or contact me through Facebook. I think it's, let's see, Daily Real Estate Mastermind. We'll shoot the script over to you. No problem. All right, so we're going to start it off. And these are, I don't know why these are numbered, but it's just the way this script that I have it written out. So whenever I start off and I'm calling a seller, hi, my name is Kyle Johns. I'm calling about the house that is advertised. Is that still available? Now, again, guys, when you're calling leads, this could be different if you're calling a lead that you received via a postcard or online, because then you know the property. So you may change it up. Hi, my name is Kyle Johns. I'm calling about your property at 123 Main Street. You contacted us via our website, or you reached out to us because we sent you a postcard or a yellow letter, or you received one of our flyers. So you have to switch it up. It's not going to be the same for every phone call. But if you're cold calling off of Craigslist, or off of wherever you could get your leads from, Zillow, Truly, if you're scraping, wherever your VAs are scraping and you're pulling these leads, generally this is how I start the conversation off. My name's Kyle Johns. I'm calling about the house that is advertised. Is that still available? So right there, it tells them that you saw a property that's advertised and you're asking, is it still available? And right off the bat, if it's a realtor or an investor, they're going to ask you, which house? So, and Josh, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that scenario, it's an easy obstacle to overcome. A lot of people are like, well, if I don't have information on the house, I don't want to call. I mean, well, why not?
Yeah, it might just been an ad with, an email or a phone number and a name, you call and just find out information. I mean, it happens a lot, obviously, like, on these live, shows or whatever, multiple times, you get a call. I mean, you get the question, which one, and you just be like, I just have a name, and a phone number, and I'm just calling you to find out information about, houses in so-and-so area. and then they start going off on, have this, this, and this one. So I mean, yeah, it's easy to overcome.
Absolutely. And like guys, whenever you're talking to a seller, you're gonna uh, overcoming that objection will just roll off your tongue, and it's not going to be the same every time. What I like to use personally is if they ask me what property, I like to say, I'm really not sure. I got your phone number from my partner, and he did not give me any information. He just told me to call you and said it was a property that we may be interested in. What area, where is the property located, or, where are your properties located? And you can start gathering information like that. For the sake of this conversation, we're going to keep it pretty, we'll keep it chill so we can go through the script how it is. So whenever you say that, is the property still available? Yeah, it's still available. Okay, great. Did I catch you at a bad time? I always like to try to throw that in there. And the reason I like to throw that in there is because when you ask someone, did I catch you at a bad time, if they say no, then you know there's no reason for them to get off the phone with you. You have them locked in. So it's kind of a little psychology there. You want to lock them in this conversation, and then again on the flip side, if you say, did I catch you at a bad time? They're like, yes, I'm at work. Okay, what's a good time to call you about your property? And so, that can work out for you and benefit you in both ways. Because if is the property still available? Oh, let me just jump right into conversation. And they're like, oh, I am in a business meeting. You didn't even give them the courtesy of finding out if they were willing to talk to you, right? You can start off on a bad foot like that. You don't want to do that. So, did I catch you at a bad time? Oh, no, not at all. Okay, now you're good to go. Now, I don't say the third line just like this all the time. I mean, again, guys, I don't read the script. I really try to just go off how the conversation, I flow with the conversation, and whatever's going on in the conversation, I just go at that point. So, once I know I have them locked in, then I would say, all right, so yeah, I'm just looking to get some general information and conditions about the property. We're looking for some properties in that area, and I would like to get that breakdown so that we can figure out if we want to move forward, or if we have any interest in your property. Very simple. Again, it's not going to be the same every single time. It's just going to roll off your tongue, and just go with it. Feel comfortable. You don't have to try to be all professional on the phone. I mean, you don't want to slur your words or mumble, but you want just be comfortable. You're calling about a property. You're trying to get information on a property. So, what are you feeling right now, Josh? Is that breaking it down pretty good for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how we talked about the other day.
Right.
Just general.
Keeping it, yeah, absolutely. And so once you get into that, then you can actually, and that's another it can be an awkward point in the conversation, because sometimes whenever you say, I would like to get some information on your property, the homeowner goes, okay.
Yeah, they just sit there. So you kind of have to, sometimes you have to, pull teeth, but, like we were saying the other day, once you get them going, it just starts flowing off their tongue. So they kind of start understanding, oh, they want to hear about the whole property. So they'll start their spiel.
Exactly. And that's where I was going next with that, is basically that could be an awkward point in the conversation. It's kind of funny, actually, because it makes me chuckle. I just use the word chuckle. That's funny.
Yeah.
No, but basically, whenever you get to that point and you say, I would like to get some information on your property, and a homeowner goes, okay, well, okay, so you want to chop that up, and you want to make sure, you want to crush that not objection, but that awkward moment by saying, all right, well, let's just start off with the kitchen, or say something, let's start off with the current conditions, the finishes, what are, if you could just break down maybe the kitchen, the bathrooms, do they need updating? Does it need a major rehab? Is it just some TLC? And like Josh said, and if you've listened to the calls, once you get them rolling, it's a good chance that they're just going to keep rolling with it. And if they understand what you're looking to find out, So you start off with the conditions. So they're going to run through that. The flooring needs to be redone. It needs paint. The kitchen needs to be updated. We just updated the bathroom, so that's great. The electrical and plumbing is fine. Um, the HVAC, it could be, it could be worked on, or it could be updated, or whatever. So they start breaking down the conditions, and then maybe you want to find out, and I talk to my team about this all the time. You want to find out. You want to be able to mentally walk through their house and see it. Because if you want to be virtual, then you have to get them to break this down to you. Now, a lot of times, you can't believe every word that a homeowner says. They'll tell you that their electrical is good, but it's knob and tube. If you don't know what knob and tube is, Google it. It's old as hell. I mean, they'll stretch the truth a little bit. Yeah, maybe it works, but it's not what we're looking for, right? So, and so sometimes I'll ask questions like that. Okay, so the electrical's good. Is it updated electrical? Plumbing's good. Is it has it been updated? Or so you start getting into a little bit more conversation with them and just breaking down the conditions. And then usually, they may mention windows and roof, but you definitely want to cover that because those are two pretty large expenses on a rehab. You definitely want to know about that. And always the plumbing, electrical, HVAC, you want to know about those things because those are all, pretty large expenses on a rehab. Also, I go over structural conditions sometimes. Is the structure good? Again, another very large thing. So you want to try to get the cosmetics, what needs to be done cosmetically to the property. If it's just cosmetics, or if we're going to have to really get into this as a major rehab and look at it like that. So when you're doing this, whatever your lead sheet, and the reason I have Podio up here is because, whatever your lead sheet or whatever you're using, you want it to try to coincide with your script. So you want when you're going through these questions, you want to try to be able to fill in here, what's going on, right? And so that way, if you're not good at typing, again, write it down, transfer it over. If you don't want to use the computer, just write it down. It's very simple. And you go through and you want to start, going through these questions, and eventually you're not going to need the script. You're going to know the questions in your head of what you need to know about this property, and you'll just have Podio open here. You'll start rolling down, and you'll also notice that during conversation with sellers, a lot of the time they're going to answer a lot of questions for you. Like, you may not even talk about a mortgage. They may just bust out, oh, and we have a mortgage on the property for X amount. Okay, well, you clearly don't ask them, do you have a mortgage after that? You have to listen to what they're explaining, and you fill in your sheet with that information. All right. So again, I'm just kind of going down the list here. I don't always ask about a mortgage. It depends on how the conversation's going. How the conversation is flowing, going and flowing. And let's see, taxes, liens, judgments. I do try to cover that because you want to know. If you've got a good deal in your hands. For instance, there is tons of deals in Philly specifically, I have a buyer. He does not like to pay over. Well, he likes to be in the $18,000 to $21,000 range for single families. That's what he buys. So if I lock up deals, I can lock up deals all day long at $12K and flip them to this buyer. He's one of the biggest buyers in the city. I know exactly what he likes. It could be a shell, or it could be something that needs to be demoed, and it doesn't matter if it's on a block that he likes. There's not a lot of board ups. Then I know he will pay $18,000 to $21,000 for that house, right? So say you have this deal, they're like, oh yeah, we're trying to get rid of it. I want to get rid of it for 12, or whatever. Maybe they say 16. You talk them down to 12, whatever. Doesn't matter. You get them down to 12, great. So, but you did not cover the question with them about back taxes, liens, judgments, stuff like that. Well, guess what? Oh, by the way, we're selling it at 12, but we have between the liens and the back taxes, it's, it adds up to about another $8,000. Well, that just killed your deal, you know, because you may have a good price what you're getting the property for, but with the taxes and the liens and the judgments, it now puts you at 20,000. So therefore, if the buyer would buy it at 21, then you can make a little bit on the deal, but you understand what I'm saying by you want to cover that before you get to signing the contract, stuff like that. Let's see. So of course you're going to want to ask them, what's their asking price, and then I also always it differs, what's your asking price, and then if we're able to, I always follow that up. If we're able to bring cash to the table within 30 days, cash in your hands, does that make a difference for you? Can we get it lower than that? And a lot of times that one question will knock off a couple thousand right off the bat, right? And so that gives you some ground to stand on. So of course, if they're asking 50, and right off the bat, if we bring cash to the table, if they say, oh, 40, well, that just knocked off 10,000 literally with no negotiating whatsoever, just a question. Follow me over there?
Yeah. Look at me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, let's see, after that, I kind of, from the conversation, you should be able to gauge if they're the owner or not, if the property's listed, stuff like that. Those are just questions that it's probably covered. They will cover that, they're the owner. Sometimes I'll ask them if they're the owner. They'll mention if usually mention if the property is listed or not. Now, number 10, is it livable? Again, this goes back to common sense. If you are getting the conditions of this property and you understand that it's basically livable, it just needs to be cosmetically updated for that specific area or that property. Well, then you already know that, okay, this could either be a wholesale if they go low enough, so you may be able to make 2 offers or multiple offers on this property in multiple different ways, and one of them would be definitely a lease option, lease purchase type, or owner finance type deal. So if it's livable, then you definitely throw in the question, if, and this is a crazy question because it's kind of like the Jones effect, and we've tested this, just by saying, or would you rent the property? Or if you didn't sell, would you rent? But this saying it like this definitely gives you the upper hand. It's much better from what we found. So we say, if you're not able to sell, again, say this in your own words. Don't read it word for word. If you're not able to sell, what do you plan on doing? Are you going to rent the property like everyone else in the area, or what is your follow-up plan or plan B? And usually that'll get them talking, and you'll understand right off the bat if they're willing to rent the property, be a landlord, or if they're absolutely against it. I believe we had someone the other day, right? That was like, no.
I was about to say, like, the perfect example is the guy's like, no, we do not want to be landlords. That was, a couple of days ago when we were doing calls. So.
Yeah. So right there.
Yeah, I mean, good question to find out what they want.
Exactly. If they're open or if they're motivated enough to go with the lease option or lease purchase at this time, or if that's an option for them, and sometimes it's clearly not what people are looking to do, and so you don't even want to waste your time trying to pitch that to them, because then you could just lose your negotiating ground with your cash offer, right? You don't want to aggravate these people. You're just trying to find out. Your goal of this initial conversation is trying to find out the conditions of the property. You're trying to understand and feel out their motivation, and then get their information. So you want their information, you want the conditions of the property, and you want to try to test their motivation so you can come in with your negotiating on round 2 or the follow-up call, right? So once you have the address and you you have the email and you have their information, you have the conditions, um, then you go ahead and in the call, all right, thank you, Mr. Smith. I will take a look at this property, do my homework, and I will get back to you. Um, and so, and it's that simple. It's really, really that simple. So once you're running through it, what is that? Once you're running through it,
What?
I don't know. I hear there's something going on over there. Um,
Oh, okay.
no, but I'm saying once you get through this, guys, then you'll be able to get what you need from the conversation. Sometimes you're going to get a ton of information. Sometimes you just have one of those people who literally does not want to talk to you, and you're not going to get much information at all. But I will say that does not mean they are not motivated. You may have caught them on a bad day. You may have caught them at a bad time. You may have said something that just, tweaked them, or they just weren't feeling the conversation. That does not mean they will not sell their property, and that does not mean that they're not motivated. I've had plenty of conversations with men and women who are very, very stern on the phone the first time, but it actually ends up being a great deal. And so, guys, like when you're on the phone, do not take anything personal. Do not take anything personal. You're calling about their property. You don't know. They may have just got 20 calls about their property. You're the 21st person. They may not want to talk to you. But again, going back to number 2, that's why we asked them, did I catch you at a bad time? We're calling about your property. And if you can get that out of the way, then you'll be able to fill that out, right? And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. So we go through, and then after we hang up the phone, we'll go ahead and comp the property out. We'll put this information in, get some quick comps. I like to put in how long we were on the phone for, and I don't do a lot of this, guys, whenever I'm doing these sessions, just because for the sake of running the session and trying to keep you guys from not sitting there in dead silence while I'm filling out this information. So you don't see me do that on these sessions, but whenever we're on the phone, daily, and we are going through this, that is a type we like to have these filled out to the best that we can, because when we, if this is not a deal now, or even if it is a deal now, when we check back at this lead, we're able to basically use this entire sheet, and we know from the name, the number, the email, the conditions, the motivation, we know everything. We have the comps, we have the links, we have everything we need. We know what market it's in, everything we need to know about this property right here. And then we're able to take that, because guys, again, if you're just getting started, maybe you're able to mentally handle the amount of calls or properties, you're able to remember the properties. But when you're going through and you're making 25, 50 calls a day, or you're talking to sellers, buyers, lease option sellers, cash buyer, all this stuff, guys. When you're on the phone all day, you're talking to your contractors for your rehabs, and it's just you don't want to have to mentally strain yourself. You want to have each deal, organized, keep it there, so that way when you get back to that deal, and you're like, okay, I remember it, everything's here, ready to rock. So that way when you make that second call, and I'm not going to get too much into this. Again, everybody has their own style of negotiating. But what we have found to be the best by far is what we like to refer to as a soft pass. And so an example of a soft pass is you don't, and again, this is not for all situations, guys, not for all situations. Sometimes you just have to be like, look, this is what I can pay, hands down, or I'm going to offer you this. And it's just different for each situation. But when we soft pass, we say, looking at the comps, looking at the stuff, based off of what you've told us as far as the work that needs to be done and what the property's worth, you would have to be around this number. And we throw out a low number. And sometimes they bite, sometimes they don't. A great example of that, and I think I discussed this earlier this week, was that property on 3rd Street in Darby. You know, I mean, literally, they were asking 70,000. I told them I'd have to be in the 20s. They call me back 5 days later and offer it to me for 30. Devin gets on the phone with them, and we talk them down to 16. You know, it's that simple. I mean, we soft passed, I mean, $50,000 lower than what they were asking. You cannot be afraid to do that. You know, and you don't. And again, you have to understand and judge each situation, because you don't want to piss people off either. You don't want to be offensive, and that's why I like to soft pass and say, you know, this may not be for you, you know, because our cash offer would have to be around like 20, and you know, I understand that is way lower than what you're asking for the property. So I don't want to offend you, but you know, we would have to be around 20,000 if we were to purchase this property. That is a soft pass, you know, and it works like a charm. Works like a charm. Lucky charm.
Lucky charm.
I'll learn today. All right, so pretty much, I mean, I think that covers it. You're just kind of breaking down the script. Josh, you have any questions or?
Oh man, I think you went over pretty well.
Thorough.
Thoroughly.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be us. Pretty much going to cover this session. Definitely have a busy day. Got to call some buyers back and get those documents ready for that lease option deal tomorrow. Virtual lease option deal. So Josh is going to be getting on the phone. We'll keep you guys updated on his progress. He's also going to be still logging into these sessions. Guys, the reason I do these sessions, this is free. This is open to everyone. I want you guys to hop on here. If you have questions, I want you to ask. If you have deals, bring them to the table. We can break them down. If I don't know how to proceed with the deal, I have tons of people that I'm surrounded with that I can get the information from. I'll either put you in direct contact with them, or I will personally figure it out with you, and we can work through the deal together. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I want you guys to get engaged, ask some questions. If you're just starting up, or if you have been in the business, we can all still learn, and we can all still tweak our businesses to perform better. If you have ideas of how we can improve, we are all ears. We are all ears. Always looking to learn new stuff and just create a better business day by day. So
never too proud to learn.
Heck no, man. I learn 24/7. That's one of my favorite things about this business. It's always changing. You know, there's always new techniques that are coming out, and you know, you can't be, like you said, you cannot be too prideful to learn. If you know, that's whenever you start failing. You know, if you're too prideful to learn, then you know, you're just too cool for school.
Too cool for school, man.
Too cool for school, man. All right, so guys, I hope this helps you out, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, join my fan page, please.
Can't be too prideful to throw likes out there.
Can't be too prideful to like my fan page. No, but yeah, absolutely, guys. Like I said, I hope this helps you out, and I think that's what we're going to end with today. Next week, we'll cover some other information on some more marketing, possibly. Maybe, you know, it'll be a while before we break down the lease option script, probably like a week or two, but we're definitely going to get to that one. You know, we'll just keep it rolling. If you have anything that you guys specifically want to know about, or if you have questions about, shoot me an email, comment, something, right on my Facebook wall. I'm hitting Facebook hard right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to end it for today. Hope this helped you guys, and we will talk to you later.